Print's complicated. Newspapers are complicated. You know, selling broadcast commercials that's complicated business. And then you throw digital marketing into the mix and it can get really complicated.
Hi, this is Lloyd.
And I'm Jeremy.
And you're watching Broadsheet, the business of news.
Last time on Broadsheet, we heard about how newspapers can act more like startups to achieve more startup-like results. That includes some successes, some iterations, and yes, even some failures. This time on Broadsheet, we're going to be talking about how to set up an effective print and digital sales organization in your market.
This is a question we get all the time, and there's not an easy answer to it because I think it varies depending on the size of your organization, who you are, even your internal company culture. So we're going to look at a lot of different things from a lot of different folks. And the first one we're going to start out with is the separate approach.
My name is Kelly HOMEWOOD. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing Products at Fusionform in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Reps have their own set of challenges and issues and things that they're focused on, and they're commission-based. So they'll tend to sell what's going to put the most money in their pocket, which only makes sense, and that's how they're incented, so that it makes sense that that's how they respond. So I'd like to say that we have that all figured out, that we have figured out what reps, what our rep ratio should be and what that looks like and what's going to be most effective. But it's a work in progress because we know that ideally we'd love to have this super uber rep that just knew all products and knew them inside and out and was able to go out and talk with a customer and immediately identify what the right mix would be to solve their marketing needs and be able to present that right on the spot and then be able to really support it and sell it. That would be ideal.
So my name is Greg NELL. I'm the Senior Digital Manager here at 435 Digital. The main reason we went to a dedicated digital-only force is that we realized that although we were doing a great job in terms of the print, having relationships, maintaining relationships, we still weren't reaching the large part of the market, especially on the small and medium-sized businesses. There was tons and tons of opportunity out there that we simply were not meeting with our current staff. So we created a dedicated digital-only force, and we've trained them to go after this new business. Typically, it's what could be considered non-traditional business. It's businesses that don't typically go to a newspaper, like your B2Bs. Also, there's a lot of other businesses that simply don't ever use print publications. So we wanted a force who could go out, talk to those people, be able to explain that, listen, you know, we are a big publishing firm, but we also have a digital services arm that's available to you with full-fledged web development capabilities and ways to get you to be found in your market.
My name is John RUNG. I'm the president of Shaw Media, based in Crystal Lake, Illinois. A 163-year-old company. I've been the president for a little over a year now. Last year we created a new structure with J. Tom Shaw leading it, and he has a digital staff, and then he also works with the legacy newspaper staffs, and he has strategies for each. It was something that's going to work for a legacy account executive might not work for a digital account executive, and vice versa. And that has been that focus, that increased focus on digital revenue has been a real boost to us.
My name is Tom Shaw. I'm the Chief Digital Officer for Shaw Media. I'm in charge of growing revenue and audience for our company. Our digital marketing team, which sells just digital services and no other part, started in earnest at the beginning of this year. We have gone back and forth in years past between should we have digital focus on a separate team or the core staff. We determined towards the later part of last year that the answer is both. BAER has been talking about that. We've seen other examples out there in the world, and we think you just have to do both. You've got to rely on your existing relationships with the core staff, but there's only so many things that they're able to truly go out and focus on selling, so you also need that separate staff.
And the way we look at the business, I thought we'd kind of come up with this genius strategic planning thing, and then about a week after that, I found 2 or 3 other companies pretty much had come out with kind of the same strategy. But we look at it from, call it our 4 corners, and the first corner is to continue to manage the legacy business to get as much audience and revenue as you can. The second corner is digital, to launch new digital initiatives, get more revenue from those things. And then the third is to acquire or to launch new products. And the fourth corner is to make sure our business is structured to support those three. And so those things are ongoing, and for the foreseeable future, that's going to be our focus.
When I'm looking at the success of the digital-only team, and when my boss and our company is looking at that, what we're looking for right now is revenue growth that's profitable. So we're not going to lose money, but we're willing to be more aggressive in order to grow that revenue. It's a pretty safe bet in this space that almost all of this is true new revenue. With the digital-only team, they have no existing accounts. They're only going after new business. And so every piece of new business that they get is an opportunity to grow into other solutions and start a long-term relationship. So right now, for this year, what I'm looking at is revenue growth that's profitable. As this matures, we'll of course be looking at where do we get the profitability in line with some of our other products.
We did some revenue projections looking out 3 years, and as you might imagine, print advertising 3 years from now would be significantly reduced. But then we also looked at our niche initiatives and digital, some of the services we provide, including commercial printing. And overall, the business looked okay, not great. If you take it and you look at it as one business, you say, well, revenue is going to be flat or down a little bit in the next 3 years. But then if you look at your digital business, your niche business, some of the other services you can provide, and you say, those are growing, and that looks great. So you can't get out of the legacy business. We look at it for our company, it's still well into 7 figures 3 years from now, a huge part of our business, so we have to continue to do that. We can't just walk away from that revenue.
There's a dotted line to me, so everyone keeps track with what the latest initiatives are, but they're really there embedded with the core teams. The digital-only team is completely separate from all of that. They're not tied to any one operation, and they only report to me. So there's no one that is balancing a print rep's desires with this new digital rep and having to decide between the two. What we're really trying to figure out now is what's the appropriate interaction between a legacy rep or a core rep who wants to hand something over for the digital team to sell. Whether that is a spiff or some sort of commission or what it is, we're still sorting that out. Right now, all of our reps, everyone in the advertising side of our company is expected to sell digital. So it's kind of hard for someone who's trained and being told you need to sell a website to hand it off to someone else. On the other hand, if you've got 10 deadlines today and the website is just a little bit different of a sale than, say, a print ad schedule, then it makes sense to bring in someone and have them focus on that part of it. So we're navigating through that right now. But as far as a blanket statement or territories or that, the digital marketing team can go into any operation, into any territory, and as long as that client isn't invested in that digital product that they're pitching, they can go after it.
So we heard about some of the challenges and successes of a separated print and digital sales model.
Yeah, it is a great model if you can afford it, but it's hard to get off the ground and it is expensive. Probably the more common thing that we see is where we take just an existing print sales rep and we train them how to sell digital.
Especially for small newspapers. So next up, we're going to hear from folks from Schurz, LA Times, and Civitas Media about how they've gone about this process.
Hi, my name is Earl BAER. I'm Director of Digital Ad Sales for the Los Angeles Times Media Group. Our goal is to raise every salesperson's level up to the level of competency, being able to speak to digital as well as print, because we're really selling more than just newspaper these days. So my team is embedded with those teams, and their goal is to educate them, to train them, to inspire them, to give them ideas on what to go after, to go on four-legged calls with them, and basically to help raise their level of proficiency at selling digital and integrated media. So we have one smaller team of people who focus specifically on digital services, and that's basically website building, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, social media management. But when it comes to anything more expansive in regards to display advertising, ad mail programs, that's our expanded team that has access to selling all that expanded suite of products.
My name is Liz Thompson. I'm the digital director for the Herald Mail in Hagerstown, Maryland. Herald Mail is owned by Schurz Communications, which is a multimedia company owning newspapers, radio groups, and television outlets. You know, one of the challenges that has been here almost since the beginning of attempts to sell digital and remains today as we keep adding things to the mix is just helping sales reps keep everything straight. They have so much to sell, and so many advertisers to see. That's the other thing, that it's really hard to keep them focused on let's figure out how to bundle all this together. Let's figure out how to take what works best for the advertiser, as opposed to let's just go see if we can sell them something. We've struggled a lot just trying to understand how to set up a digital-only sales team. And we've tried different models and can't claim great success with any of them. Right now we work under everybody sells everything. We don't have a dedicated digital team or a dedicated print team. Everybody carries all of these things in their toolbox. And it's pretty tough. I don't know, it's one of the things I ask about everywhere I go when I'm talking to another digital director or a team of digital people. How do you sell? How do you break that up? And who do you designate to do what? I don't think that's been answered really well yet.
My name is David Lee Spencer, and I'm the Regional New Media Business Development Manager for Civitas Media. Day to day, I'm in different locations throughout the company. I travel to 24 of our locations, and I just help the sales staff get better at talking about it, pitching the product to their customers, and just explaining it. It's new to a lot of our reps that's been, in the traditional newspaper industry, so they're, really print conscious, and so we really just want them to develop that side of it and feel comfortable. So I'm really like a resource to them, just whatever they need to be successful, I help them get it. I'm in Hillsboro, Ohio this week. And the biggest thing I've just been trying to tell the reps here is pitch digital, talk about it, let people know what you got. Reps know subscriptions. They know, okay, like here, the population's 10,000. They're doing pretty good here, 50%. 5,000 people are subscribed to the paper. Pretty good. But then you say, how many people go see your website? Some of them don't know that there's 52,000 unique visitors a month that we're averaging here, and that's huge. Everybody has a phone, has a smartphone, has a computer at house and at work, and they're constantly on these devices, and they check in and want to see what's going on in their community, and so that's where the huge opportunity is.
If there's one mistake that I've seen, not just our company, but other companies make along the way with digital, it's thinking of it as digital, as we need technical folks. We need people who are brand advertiser-oriented folks. But ultimately, the opportunity in these local markets, especially with newspapers, it's with local advertisers, it's with retailers, it's service providers, understanding what's going on in their heads with regard to their business and needing to reach their customers with what kind of message is pivotal.
My name is AUSTEN, TRIMBLE, and I'm the Director of Sales for OwnLocal. We believe that newspaper ad reps are simply integrated marketing consultants for their customers. They're effectively there to bring new solutions to their customers and help their customers understand what the best thing is for them to do. So what that means is that when they're selling a print ad, they don't have to go to the customer and say, hey, listen, here's a diagram of a printing press and this is how this works and here's how the colors hit the page. No, they don't do any of that. They say, here's why this is going to be good for your business. We frame digital products and services in the same way in our trainings. At the end of the day, we're selling audience. We want the small businesses to know that we're going to connect them with their audience and help them get their message out there. So it doesn't matter if you're selling a print ad, a search engine optimization campaign, SEM, or even content creation for a website. The point is that you're going to help your SMB advertisers connect with their customers.
While this is actually the fastest way for many organizations to go to market with a digital strategy, as you can see, sometimes reps can get overloaded with product sets and they don't necessarily know which product that they should be selling to which customer.
So that kind of brings us to the third approach, which is one of my favorite, which is taking an expert and kind of inserting them among these traditional sales reps. You know, one of the things I really like about traditional sales reps is they have the relationships, they have the passion. You know, a lot of folks, you know, they've worked for years, 20, 30 years with the same customers, and there's value there.
Absolutely.
They don't have to know, like Earl said, they don't have to know, you know, how a website works, you know, how HTTP works. You can bring in an external expert that explains that and helps them sell it.
Absolutely. So next up, we're going to hear from folks from AdTaxi, UT San Diego, and the Dallas Morning News about how they've gone to market with this particular strategy.
My name is LINDSAY JACAMAN. I actually wear two hats. I am General Manager of Digital Marketing Services at DMN Media, which is owned by the Dallas Morning News, and also Chief Revenue Officer of Speakeasy, a content marketing and social media agency, which is a joint venture between the Dallas Morning News and Slingshot Advertising. The challenges around how to structure the sales team are not unique to the Dallas Morning News as we go to market with different digital properties in our portfolios. With regard to social media, it was a matter of figuring out a way to leverage the 5,000 local relationships the Dallas Morning News have with those clients, and making those reps feel very comfortable in talking about social media and content marketing solutions and how those solutions can really help drive businesses forward and help, you know, basically boost their bottom line.
Hi, my name is Greg Messenger. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales at AdTaxi. I live in Denver, Colorado. When we think about AdTaxi, we frame it up as a sales enablement company. And when we think about that, we mean that on the macro side of the equation, the local regional ad spending is moving to programmatic media across mobile video and display, email, search, content marketing. We think that market's going to grow from about $45 billion today in the US to about $75 billion by 2017. So that's by far the fastest growth trend in digital advertising. On the more micro side of the equation, we have a lot of trust between our local media brands and local audiences, like the Denver Post and the Denver Audience, for instance. Conversely, we also have a lot of trust with our local sales forces and the businesses that they represent. In between that micro and macro opportunity, there's a big execution gap. So what AdTaxi as a business tries to do is help partners, whether they be publishing, broadcast companies, or clients direct, close that gap as fast as humanly possible. So AdTaxi does carry its own sales force, but our mission is to enable the local sellers to be able to operate on their own independently and drive this kind of revenue growth and solution for their client without us. So what we do is essentially go in, train them up, get them moving, go on the first round of sales calls, help them through the relationship, and then basically throw them in the pool and force them to teach themselves to fish. So we do have continued sales pressure in each of these markets, but typically we have an AdTaxi leader on the floor who kind of owns the revenue growth for that sales floor and is dedicated to helping that sales force increase their digital acumen. So they're there as a resource. They're not there as a digital secretary, so to speak, to do the digital work. That typically can't happen. They're there to be the kind of the evangelist, for lack of a better word, around this audience model.
So we have traditional legacy newspaper reps. We call those our SMCs, so sales and marketing consultants. And they are 60 people strong. And then we have a small army of digital hunters, as we call them, and those are our DSMCs. And they're about a group of 10. And they work alongside those core SMCs to go out and make four-legged sales calls. Then you sprinkle in a couple catalysts, and those are people that specialize in different product offerings, such as Speakeasy. There are Speakeasy catalysts, so it's core reps, digital reps, and then 2 different sets of catalysts. So on any given call, just from a rep perspective, you could have 3 to 4 reps outside of managers and GMs. So it's quite a layered structure at this point.
My name is Mike Hodges. I'm the president and COO for UT San Diego. Yeah, our sales structure is really focused on having our core reps be multimedia reps. The ability for them to sit down with an advertiser and present, a all-encompassing media package. Now, certainly where we have an advertiser that might have more of an interest in digital, we'll bring in a digital specialist. Or someone that has a particular interest in video, we'll bring in a video specialist. But at the end of the day, we're requiring our multimedia reps to go and sell the whole package.
As you probably know, the fastest way to grow revenue is to upsell an existing client. A lot of those relationships are held with the local newspaper sales staff and that business. Most of the time, that traditional newspaper sales staff or broadcast sales staff doesn't have the digital acumen to provide these kinds of solutions. So what ends up happening is we add another trusted guide, as we call them, to that relationship, which is a savvy digital person to go on a four-legged sales call and kind of craft that media mix. Once the client has that solution, those two work on it together. And as the traditional rep sees this happen a few times, they slowly begin to learn to fish, so to speak, and operate on their own. That's how the business scales. So we're transforming that past relationship around buying a TV spot or buying a newspaper ad to buying a cohesive marketing solution that's driven via that digital acumen to push that legacy rep in the right direction.
What we've decided to do is we really need to have some digital marketing experts on staff. So we have Fusionform agency reps right now that focus on just going out and selling non-legacy customers. So if they're already working with our legacy reps, then they don't work with them. But what they do is go out and look for new business that we're not currently working with as a company.
What we think we've kind of found out the right thing to do now is to take really good sellers that understand what's going on, but then support them with people who have that deep digital knowledge, and not necessarily always being four-legged calls and having a digital rep go along with them to basically go in and try to close a sale on digital. But to have those folks go along and be a trainer in the field and help them understand the value of those products and make sure that we aren't missing any opportunities. So it's an extra set of eyeballs. And so we have our sales managers are up to speed on that, but we've also incorporated digital reps to go along and dedicated specifically to the ad teams.
The fact that you don't have to be the expert on all services, that you can bring someone in to be that expert and still not lose credibility. That's probably been our biggest challenge, because we can develop all the services and products that we want, but if they're not getting taken to market by the sales reps, then it's not going to work. Well, they're very afraid of losing credibility. I mean, and that's the bottom line. So the reps have built these relationships with these clients, and they feel that they're experts in what they've been selling them, and so there's a real fear that they're going to be asked a question that they can't answer. And when they can't answer the question, they feel like they're losing credibility, rather than say, you know what, I'm not the expert on this piece of it, but I have someone back at the office that is. Let me bring those folks out, or let me connect you, let me get those answers for you. And that's really what we're working with the reps on, is to say, you don't have to be the expert on everything, and you're not going to lose credibility if you have someone on your team that can be that expert.
We also know that there are a significant number of customers out there who have not a lot of interest in legacy products, that they don't care about or want to be in the paper. They don't watch the 6 o'clock news. So those people are, however, interested in social. They really want a robust website. We actually have a team of people specifically tasked with going out and finding new customers that work alongside the ad reps that are branded Fusionform, to be able to go out and talk directly to those people that's all they really care about. And we're starting to make some really good traction with those folks, as well as having our existing advertisers come along with the ride.
The fear is always that they're going to switch revenue. So we're going to lose print revenue, or we're going to lose broadcast revenue if we sell digital. And to a certain degree that happens, because they kind of see that rep that comes in, that's my Gazette rep, or that's my KCRG rep. And so they're looking at their budget as, this is my Gazette budget, or my KCRG budget. And so I'm going to take a little out of this to fund this new thing you want me to try, and we'll see, and it's all coming out of the same budget. But what we're trying to work with the reps on is we know, we actually subscribe to the BAER data, and we know in market what's being spent and what's being spent in our market, both with other companies within our market and then also outside of our market, the dollars by category that are being spent. So we know we're not capturing all of those dollars. There's money to be had in digital marketing that they're not spending with us. So we really want the reps to focus on not just going in and talking about, here's what we think you need to do, but also talking about what is your marketing budget overall, and really trying to expand their thinking into, I'm not asking you to take money from your print or your broadcast. What I'm asking you to do is think about how you currently market online. What are you currently doing for directory updates and for social media marketing that's thinking outside of the box of just working with my rep for print or digital. What we found really beneficial with that is having some separate reps, so Fusionform reps that actually go out and can begin with a different language. So we're not beginning with just what we've worked with before on print or what we've worked with before on broadcast.
I was once told to me that good salespeople are not really trained, but they're born. And so I think that if you have a little bit of sales DNA and you've already got that raw skill set, that's a great place to start. So even before you get into training and education with ad reps, I think the first thing you need to do is you need to look around and say, do I have a bunch of sellers here? And if I have sellers here, then I can take them and I can train them on different subject matter. And I should create a culture of doing that so that they're accustomed to shifting their processes and working and learning with new products. That'll improve the feedback. And so education is important, but I think even before education, you've got to hire sellers.
I'm Brian Timponi. I'm the founder of Local Labs. We produce content at scale for some newspapers and for ourselves. They great valuations, sustained businesses. And newspapers, because they don't, there's like kind of a level of expectation or entitlement that still pervades them. They need to be more aggressive on sales. A lot of newspapers newspapers don't spend enough money on sales. They don't. They have treated sales as a cost, as an expense. In my estimation, a healthy newspaper should spend 20% of its gross revenue on sales. But I think you'll find newspapers that spend 3 to 5%. I think you can even spend more than that. But the point is that there's no aggressive sales model. They used to have one, but they don't anymore, because they became monopolies. They just took orders. They took the grocery store to the Cubs game, and that's how they got their deal.
So Brian actually raises a really interesting point here, which is that newspapers have acted more like account managers than they have like sales organizations, at least traditionally. And what that means is they have really great relationships with a large number of legacy clients. But what they're missing is sort of the hunter aspect of going and acquiring new accounts and bringing those into the fold. We've actually seen the digital champion model work really well at this, bringing in some new blood and challenging the salespeople on the print side to bring new products into their customers.
Yeah, it's hard to balance, right? I mean, it's hard to make it work, because you do have all the questions of like, is this person taking my customer and all those things. But honestly, if you look at it from the account management salesperson perspective that you're talking about, that can be a good thing.
Absolutely.
That can reinvigorate the organization.
It's not often that once you've sold somebody something, that you have the opportunity to go and present new products and services. And this is actually a nice Trojan horse to bring these digital products into these accounts. Thanks for watching Broadsheet. Make sure you go to broadsheet.org to sign up for our email list, where you'll hear about when our next episodes are coming up.
Oh, by the way, our next episode is going to feature talking about teaching your customers and how that is really more of a sales process. In fact, we're going to hear from the Denver Post and how they have created this seminar model, and what that's done, it's kind of allowed them to just skip the sales process. You can teach your customers what they need to be doing, then they just ask you to do it.
That's a really good point. So we'll see you next time.